If your team is of level 50 and higher and looking for the best spawns to hunt, here goes some of the best options. Before I start, here is the disclaimer. Most of these spawns I have tried myself, but on different level ranges, so I will be using estimates in terms of experience, and for most of these, I have made dedicated guides for them. But I also have not tried every spawn possible, so I could be missing better options. Feel free to share any other spawn suggestions in the comments. With that said, let's begin. Starting on 5th place, we have one of the easiest spawns at this level range, the Worms of Liberty Bay. There is 2 alternatives located in the mountain to the right side of the city, and both are roughly the same in terms of experience, sitting at around the 350k raw XP, hunting with single target spells and some runes, but could be higher by using SDs, but that will make this a quite wasteful hunt. These can also be hunted at lower levels, making this in fact quite easy at level 50. Next, in 4th place, the Mother of Scarab's Cave. This spawn located in the northern Angramun is one that I have found the hardest to properly try, because new servers tend to be highly contested, because it can be hunted by solo mages and teams as well. We barely got to do some hunt by level 80 as a 3-man, and most of the times we ran into KS fights, so my estimation for a full party of 4 is of around 400k raw XP. But as long as the server is new, it will likely be hard to find it available. Next up in 3rd place, the Kralos Ruins. This spawn located in Kralos by the northwest is one of my personal favorites. It tends to be somewhat contested but not as much, since it's mostly for higher level duos or higher level solo knights. So for the most part, it's best for low level team hunts, which at around level 50 will be making around the 470k raw XP. And unlike the previous 2 spawns I mentioned, this one can still go a bit higher since it's harder to overkill. And with more levels and speed, you can push the XP to over 600k by level 80s or so. Additionally, with a bit of luck and cheap potions from casts, this spawn will cover the supplies cost. Moving on, for 2nd place, we have the Old Fortress. This spawn located to the north of Edron is perhaps the most common people like to hunt. It does have some of the most potential, because the high density and size of the spawn, it means it gets better with more levels and speed. But similarly to the Ancient Scarabs, it does tend to be contested a lot in new servers. We got to try it a bit at the level 70s, but I know it's doable at 50 and 4-man, just going slower. And at that point, I estimate the experience to be of around 550k or more. Additionally, this spawn has 2 floors, which are both roughly the same in experience, so it can be split for 2 teams and be fine. But once you start getting a bit higher levels, like at 80s or so, you might start overkilling a tiny bit. In terms of loot, some hunts you will be able to cover supplies, but since it depends on rare drops, it tends to be waste more often than not. And now moving on to 1st place, the Were Cave of Edron. This spawn is located to the southwest of Edron and can be quite difficult to hunt at this level range. In fact, on my guide for it, I recommend over level 100, because at that level, the EK can tank quite easily and may just do more damage. However, at level 50, the hunt is done much differently. Instead of tanking, you have the knight kite the monsters together with the paladin, while the mages can sit in firebombs and be somewhat safe. As a paladin, since your damage options are quite low in the case of a new server with bad skills, I would recommend to use energy bombs, and that will add more damage over time, because the creatures walk over them and get hit every time. Additionally, in order to keep the chair experience active, the EK also throws some runes every now and then, like GFBs or avalanches. Since the goal is not to add damage, but rather to keep the chair active, it's enough to do it once every other pull, and spend the rest of your focus on kiting the creatures, because at this level the knight can still get combo even if he's not straight up tanking. Hunting like this, I expect the experience to be over 600k. For us, at around 65, we were doing close to 700k, and at this level range, all you need to do is a small lap across the closest rooms on the east side. Optionally, if it is taken, you can go to the 2nd floor, but the experience will be worse there as the spawn is smaller and you have to backtrack. This in fact is the one we tried first, since that is what was available, and the experience was around the 560k raw, which might still be better than the Old Fortress. Additionally, these creatures are great profit, since most of the drops can be sold right away in a new server, and they also drop quite a few platinum coins, so with cheap cost of supplies, most of our hunts were good profit. Although keep in mind, since it is difficult, we did have some deaths sometimes. But with that said, that's all I got for this video. If you have hunted other spawns in this lower range with better results, feel free to share them in the comments, as well if the experience on these spawns was worse or better for your team. If you want more info for any of them, consider checking their dedicated videos in this playlist. Thank you for watching, and a special thanks to the Guild Causality from Pulsera, to Nightstar and Tuna Hero for their support.